For thousands of years, one element shaped the fate of nations: gold. It wasn't just a metal, it was trust made tangible. Empires rose chasing it. Wars ignited because of it. And for most of human history, gold wasn't just wealth, it was money itself. In the bustling markets of ancient Lydia, around 600 BC, the first gold coins were struck. They bore the mark of kings and the weight of confidence. Traders could cross deserts, oceans, and borders, knowing that wherever they went, a coin of pure gold would always be accepted. Gold didn't need an army or a law to enforce its value. It had something far stronger: belief. By the time the Roman Empire reigned, gold solidus coins moved from hand to hand, binding millions in a silent fast forward to the 19th century. The industrial world was booming. Steam engines roared, trade spanned continents, and empires needed a stable foundation for global commerce. That foundation became the gold standard, a simple but revolutionary idea. Every banknote, every coin, every promise of payment could be converted into a fixed amount of gold. Britain led the way in 1821. The pound sterling was tied to gold, and soon other nations followed: the United States, France, Germany. This created an invisible golden web linking the world's economies together. The gold standard worked beautifully, until reality intervened. Wars cost money, empires bled gold, and trust, once stretched too far, begins to tear. By the early 1900s, nations were stockpiling gold to prepare for what they feared most: conflict. Then came World War I. The guns of Europe didn't just shatter peace, they shattered the gold system. Governments printed more paper to fund armies, but the gold reserves behind them didn't grow. People rushed to banks to exchange paper for metal, only to find the vaults running dry. Within months, the gold standard, that century-old promise, collapsed. The 1920s, a decade of hope and illusion. The war was over, economies were rebuilding, and central bankers believed they could restore the old golden order. They called it the gold exchange standard: paper notes backed partly by gold and partly by foreign reserves, especially the US dollar. But it was a fragile illusion. Speculation soared, credit expanded, and gold reserves didn't keep up. By 1929, the illusion broke. The Great Depression struck like lightning. Banks failed, savings vanished, and faith in both paper and gold evaporated. The world lay in ruins. Cities smoldered, economies shattered, and leaders gathered in a small town in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods to rebuild trust in global finance. Out of that meeting came a new vision: a world still anchored to gold, but through the US dollar. The United States, holding 2/3 of the world's gold reserves, became the center of the new system. Every other currency would be pegged. By the late 1960s, the world's demand for dollars had outgrown America's gold supply. Nations, fearing devaluation, began to exchange their paper dollars for metal, draining Fort Knox ounce by ounce. President Richard Nixon faced an impossible dilemma: keep the promise and lose the gold, or break it and save the system. On August 15, 1971, he chose the latter. The modern world was born not from gold, but from paper and trust. Governments could now print money freely, control interest rates, and manage economies without the restraint of a metal standard. The system was flexible, and dangerously so. Inflation became the silent tax of nations. Debt grew, credit expanded, and markets surged on optimism instead of ounces. Money, once tied to physical scarcity, became infinite in theory, and unstable in practice. Through the 1980s and 1990s, financial globalization exploded. Wall Street, Tokyo, London, each became temples of faith built not on gold but on confidence. Then came crises: Latin America in the 80s, Asia in the 90s. And finally, in 2008, the world once again learned a painful truth. Trust, no matter how digitized, can still collapse overnight. Today we live in a world without gold anchors. Money exists mostly as numbers on screens, fragile digits representing faith in a system most of us barely understand. But if you look closely, you'll see that gold never truly disappeared. It remains in vaults, in jewelry, in memories, a silent reminder of the time when value was tangible and trust was weighed in ounces. Cryptocurrencies, central bank, digital money, even the endless debates about inflation. They're all echoes of that same ancient question. What is money, if not trust? The story of gold is the story of us, of our hunger for certainty, our fear of loss, and our eternal attempt to turn belief into something real. In the end, gold didn't fail us. We outgrew it, or maybe we simply thought we did.